Let's now connect with Mr. R. Seshasayee, Vice Chairman with Ashok Leyland and former CI President, who joins us on the show with the quick take on what we should expect from the economy going forward. Mr. Seshasayee, good morning and thank you for joining us. Mr. Seshasayee, the market mood is exuberant in anticipation of a strong and a stable government. But do you believe there is no quick fix to the problems which currently are plaguing the Indian economy?
Well, I think it's a very good thing that the sentiments are running very high. In the last few years, we have seen that what was a virtuous cycle had slipped into a vicious cycle of declining investments, leading to declining jobs, leading to declining demand, and again leading to decline in investments and so on. So I think it's a good thing that the sentiments are good, and that is one definite variable, although somewhat fragile variable, to change from a vicious cycle to the virtuous cycle. So it's good. But having said that, yes, it is not something which can be resolved. The issues of which are facing the Indian economy are not capable of being resolved on Monday morning. No matter how strong the leadership is. There are clearly structural issues. Some of them are exogenous issues, some of them are endemic issues, and these will take time. But if there is clear demonstration that the government is going to be a strong government, is going to be in command and is moving in the right direction, notwithstanding that it may not reach the destination, I think that will do the trick.
Mr. Seshasayee, hi, morning. What do you think can the government do on a priority basis to kickstart the investment cycle, and what will get India in to start investing again?
I believe that there is a critical issue relating to the availability of risk capital. Just look at the promoters who came in the last decade, in the bubble years. These promoters, most of them, if not all of them, are nursing serious wounds of having invested in infrastructure, and there isn't enough equity investments coming from these. And I can't see a new flush of promoters coming in. In a way, without making a sweeping remark of this, a lot of promoters came in the last flush because of political patronage. And I'm not saying that all of that is wrong. I can't see that repeating again in the new flush. There's going to be, therefore, to that extent, lesser number of promoters are going to be willing to put money, even if they had the money. And most of them don't have the money. And what is worse, the banks are not, again, flush with funds, because they are staring at a fairly high level of NPAs and restructured assets. And therefore, a lot of investments which have been cleared by CCI are not getting landed because of the constraint in the banking system and in the risk capital. So that's I think the key issue.
So are you of the view that it will take a lot of time for things to turn around, and is it fair to assume that the government cannot turn around things alone?
As I said, I think sentiment is good. The positive sentiment can turn the tide. It can, to some extent, do it. But there are, as I was mentioning earlier, there are some very endemic issues. Take, for example, I'm just giving you one example of the issue relating to the administrative machinery taking decisions with regard to clearances, be it environment clearance or be it with clearance relating to the land use, whatever. I think today the entire administrative machinery is pretty demoralized and is not willing to take decisions which involve judgment about the future. Because of this unfortunate development that we have seen in the past few years, where some of the instruments of democracy, such as the CBI, the CAG, even the media, all of which were intended to protect the democratic functioning, which are intended to act as safeguards and defense, have over a period of time, perhaps by a genetic mutation, have become somewhat offensive. They've grown class. So therefore, today there is a great reluctance on the part of the administrative setup to take any decision which involves a judgment of the future. And I can't see how we can take investment decisions, how we can give clearances unless there is a judgment about future. Now that will take time to fix. That will mean that you have to bring back confidence into the administrative machinery. That will mean decisive, strong leadership which says, don't worry, take the decision, and I'm behind you, and I will protect you. And that's not going to be easy.
Mr. Seshasayee, the other big concern is around the policy for land acquisition. Do you think it needs a relook, or do you believe industry can work with the current policy framework?
We've got two issues on the ground. One is the fact that you've got fragmented ownership, and therefore you can't by yourself aggregate that. If government is not aggregating, like industrial development corporations of the state governments are not aggregating it, you only see political aggregators coming in. They will do that. And that will be to the detriment of the interest of the landowner. The second issue is the defective titles. And this is a country which has had this as an endemic problem for many, many decades. And you're not going to be solving this problem quickly. So if the title is not sanitized, and it cannot be sanitized even by a political aggregator, it can only be sanitized by government agencies which are given that power to sanitize the title as coming as a part of the legislation. If that's not happening, I see this is a major problem. Therefore, industry cannot by itself solve this problem. It's got to be through an intervention from the state government, and to that extent, I absolutely believe that the Land Acquisition Act that is which has been enacted needs relook, it needs to be softened, and it needs to recognize the realities of the ground, and it needs to support land acquisition by private industries if we have to get industry or manufacturing sector to flourish.
Now, Mr. Seshasayee, all major national parties have realized that there is a political capital in incentivizing the manufacturing sector as it leads to job creation. But realistically, given the fiscal constraints, the fact that Government of India is still running a very tight balance sheet, can the government really do anything out of ordinary?
You see, my one view on this is that you cannot step up growth in manufacturing unless we have a very clear-cut policy that we want to make India a good destination for manufacturing for the rest of the world. I mean, if you look at all the histories of economic histories of countries which made manufacturing grow fast, all of them will tell you that it is important to look at manufacturing not merely to cater to the needs of Indian population, but to act essentially as a manufacturing hub for the rest of the world. And that requires very decisive kind of a move towards making manufacturing a very welcome kind of an activity in India. Today, all the legislation stacked up against that. We made feeble attempts in the past, like the SEZ, which have come a cropper. And therefore, unless we look at creating an environment in which large manufacturing industries across the globe think that India, with a great market, is also a great destination from the point of view of infrastructure, from the point of view of taxation, from the point of view of access to the rest of the world in terms of logistics, all of that. If all of them are sufficiently attractive, then of course manufacturing can take off with high rates of growth. Therefore, to my mind, we need to address the larger picture. If that gets addressed, even manufacturing which is catering to the local needs will in the process get uplifted.
Take a look at Reliance. That's the one which is holding up for 3 days straight, and you've also got the stock sitting at a 3-year high. 974 is where it is right now. Take a look at the volume bump up that has come in just the last few odd minutes, giving you a good price volume breakout. You could also add to that basket the PSE ETF as well, the Goldman Sachs PSE ETF. We were just chatting about it. In fact, it's now topped the 20 rupees gain mark. That too will just come for you on your screens, the Goldman PSE ETF. But Mr. Seshasayee, coming back to you, given the back and forth in GST that we've seen, are you hopeful that we can see some progress in 2014?
I've been very disappointed. I would almost say I've been devastated by what I have seen, in particular on this GST drama. I think there is a huge hiatus between intellectual honesty on the one hand and political expedience in the other, because all those parties who have opposed this and quibbled about the language of this, or have said that this part is not right and therefore we can't allow, and that part is good which we will accept, and so on. All of those kind of quibbling have happened because of political expediency. Intellectually, all the parties know, the leadership know that GST is good, good for the state, good for business, and good for the country. Now, if no matter which government comes in, if the opposition has the same kind of approach to it, to say that no, we don't accept GST because something of this is wrong and therefore we can't accept it. I think it was Churchill who said that the duty of the opposition is to oppose. If that's the policy with which we operate, then I have no hopes. But I hope we transcend beyond that. I hope the political parties learn lessons as a result of what we will see in the elections, that ultimately people want development, people want a leadership that is in charge, and an opposition equally that is responsible, that is not disruptive, that is committed to the development of this country. I hope it happens.